So the flip side of this then, Jason, is what involvement do you think that the sales team should have with success and any of the other post-sales activities? How can sales get better aligned to the part of the organization that we're in?
I think part of it is some of the sales folks that I've met and have experienced, they're really good at selling. They really love their job, but they want to spend all their time doing what they love and what they're good at and what they're compensated for. But if they would actually spend a little bit more time with the post-sale activities, sitting through some of the implementation efforts, understanding some of the issues, and hearing it even almost as an observer from a customer themselves and through the customer success teams, they'll really start to get a better idea of what happens after the fact that the customers are dealing with and what are some of their challenges, so that they can then figure out, oh, how do we prevent some of these issues, or also how do we set expectations earlier in the sales process that this is what the implementation and adoption process and success process will look like for you. Let's talk about that so that you know how we're going to get you where you need to be. And I think one of the things that we often talk about here is people make their initial buying decision based on hope, but they really make that renewal decision based on experience and what happens after. And what's the reality for them? The reality for how the implementation went, how the adoption effort went, but also what are those outcomes that they get. And having a sales folks to really think about the experience after the sale is complete, or the initial sale, I guess we should say, if it's more that sales chain, really I think would be very helpful. And sort of related to that is getting the salesperson to think about a program of outcomes for the customer, not just a technical solution. And really getting to think software only enables that business outcome, but it's really what happens afterwards within your organization that makes the difference. And having a salesperson include language like that in the sales conversation. Let's talk about how we get you to those outcomes. Let's talk about what you need to do internally that you may not have done before, or don't know how to do, or will need help doing. And here's how we're going to make you successful. And I think only through really spending time in some of those post-sales activities will make a big difference. Actually, quick story, I was doing some client work a few years ago, and we got the full year-long plus implementation. We got everything live. We did a whole bunch of adoption activities, and the client team, which included some of their sales folks and some of their technical implementation folks, didn't quite understand why we were asking the questions we were, why we were doing the activities we were to set the client up for success with change management and user adoption and long-term value. And it was only after the fact, when a few months after go live, when we did a large lessons learned exercise, and we interviewed everyone, we got everyone in a room, and we debriefed everything, and they heard firsthand how the client talked about all the challenges they were having getting value. And 95 to 99% of them had nothing to do with the technology, and everything about the way they were trying to get people to use it, how they were trying to communicate and collaborate, how they were managing the adoption effort internally. And it was only through sitting through those afterwards that the sales folks and the technical folks came up to me and said, now I know why you were doing all that. I get it now, and I didn't before, even though you told me. It was only through that experiential piece. So I think that's absolutely key for a lot of folks. I also think what would be really helpful too in the post-sales piece is how is it that sales can help build relationships and help do some better handoffs. I had a training call this morning with another customer, and they were talking about how sales sort of sets them up. Oh, they just do the demos. And that's not what the customer success team does at all. And they were setting false expectations with the client, and they were not setting the customer success team up to really help the client most effectively get value from their purchase. So really helping the sales folks to understand, here's what we do, and here's how I can make this handover more effective, I think is pretty key. Jason, any other thoughts from you?
Yeah, I love the discussion point about demos there, and something I've seen to great effect in a number of organizations is where, when you've got your sales guys doing the pitches, have your customer success team as part of that listening. You want to understand what challenges they come up against, how they work through the challenges, what the answer they've got. So I'd really, really encourage that. I think another key thing I've seen is where you can get, when you've started the alignment working better, is set in place either maybe weekly, fortnightly meetings where your success and the sales teams get together at the end of the week and have a debrief about deals that they've lost, deals that they've won, about churn problems we've had, about customer problems. That really starts building that relationship piece. And I really like your point earlier on, Jason, about the initial buying decision is based on hope, renewals based on experience. What we want to do is really shift that so everybody is involved in delivering that experience. I think that's absolutely critical.